Well, everybody, and welcome to the Trig Podcast of Joy and GOZO TV, where we are going GOZO. The weather's got you down. The brakes in your car, they don't seem to work anymore. Looking at your wallet, at your waist, and bro, wondering, man, what's going on? Don't worry. Let's spend the next few minutes talking about grace, talking about joy, talking about gold, talking about GOZO today. Here, the Trig Podcast of Joy and GOZO TV. I want to first say hello, everybody in Bellflower, Long Beach, all around the country. Here on davidTrig Show, welcome to this beautiful Friday. How are you guys? Hope that you're enjoying my brand new set here at the GOZO Studios in Long Beach, California, broadcasting live through Facebook and YouTube. To all of you, my dear friends, who want to have more joy in life. Hope you're loving this music. You know, everything that we do here in the davidTrig Show is designed to bring you a life of joy, to bring you a life of peace, a life of comfort, and to make you into a better person, so that whether you are an individual in the education system, maybe you are someone in the nonprofit world, maybe you're someone who has your own small business, that you can have more effectiveness and you can live a better life, touching more people's lives. So welcome, my dear GOZO friend. My name is davidTrig, and I am a pastor. I'm also a media and a musician consultant, helping people discover what I call the ACL experience, what is basically means the finding your God-given adventure, which is A, discovering grace in the middle of crisis, which is your C, and then discovering who you love, what you love. You can sign up to all of my stuff on Instagram, at my webpage, all the stuff that's here, so that you can keep up with all of my latest information. And if you also want mentorship in terms of how I do this live show and all of the tools and all the gadgets that I have, you can also go to my website, and I would love to help you figure that out. But today I want to talk to you, my dear friend, about this amazing topic that I think is very important, which is this idea of how to learn your communication style. You know, how to discover what makes you effective in front of people. Because here's the thing, all of us, whether, again, we're in education, whether we are a leader, whether we are a parent, we want to be able to express our ideas to other people, right? So I want to switch my cameras also. I'm going to introduce, let's see if camera 2 comes on. Let's see if I can get it here. So there we go. Hello, camera 2. Hello, this is a little bit of the behind the scenes. Then I even have camera 3. Let's see if that shows up. This is even more behind the scenes. So hello, everybody. This is a little bit of my green screen and the setup that I have here at my GOZO studios. So again, just thankful and excited to be helping you. But again, I wanted to tell you about, and today's theme and topic is how to improve your communication style. You know, a lot of people come up to me and say, Trig, you know, how do you communicate? What are some of the skills that you've learned? You know, I've had the privilege to not only study, but also practice communication for many years. And I've also read a ton of stuff, and I'm also someone who, you know, in church and through music, I've always had to learn how to talk to people. And even though I don't think I'm the best communicator, one of the things that I do love is to learn and then to watch other people. And hopefully these tips that I'm going to give you today will help you understand your own communication style so that you can influence more people. And as that book says, and you can gain more friends. So the first tip that I want to give you to get right into the show here, we're going to call this stream or this webinar, Improving Your Communication Style, improving your, that shouldn't be an is in there, your communication style. So what is the first thing that I want to tell you with regards to your communication style? Well, the first, I think, style of communication is what I call the STAR. You might be someone who you think, well, I'm not really good at talking in front of people. I get tongue-tied. I don't have a lot to say, or maybe I am better writing things down. Have you ever experienced that, my dear friend? That you might be better at talking to people, or meaning writing your thoughts to people instead of talking? So if you find that that is more your style, I have something else that you might be. But if you find yourself being someone who's a star, as this first one talks about, the star is a person who naturally is a center of attention, is a person who's a natural magnet. You know, it is said of these people that when they walk into a room, everyone notices. Have you ever noticed those kinds of people, my dear friend? These are the people that it seems like wherever they go, people are drawn to them. They are probably natural extroverts. They're social butterflies. They don't seek attention, but people can't help but give it to them. And that's the first communication style, is to be a star. The second one, I think, is just as important and just as powerful, and that is the artist. The artist is the person who is the healer. Don't let the word artist tell you that we're talking about musicians or painters or dancers. We're talking about that, yes, but we're talking about the healing nature of the artist. Artists, by their very nature, are people that are givers. They're in the healing industry. You know, they write or they sing or they talk to people in a way that heals others. And artists are often people that make life beautiful. They could be extroverted. You might be an introvert. You might have if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs, you might be an IN or an NI as they call it, meaning you have that intuitive introvert, that kind of deep internal life. And so if you relate to some of the things I'm saying, you might have the artistic communication style. The third one is the teacher or the mentor. In other words, the teacher, the mentor, is the person who has a ton of knowledge, but their desire is to pass that knowledge on to other people. They really have a passion to help others' lives, and not just in a healing kind of way, but really to pass on information. Now, so those are the three communication styles that I've discovered, and the temperaments, and really the way that most of us like to lead. Now, you might say, well, Trig, I don't have just one. I have all three. You might be on the other end of things. You might say, I don't think I have any of those. So let me give you this last graphic, because if you're familiar with the Enneagram, if you know what that is, I'm going to actually delete my camera there so you can see this more clearly, and I'll just talk here over it. If you are more of if you relate to all three, you might be someone who, like the Enneagram, and you might want to look this up online. The Enneagram deals with 9 also personality traits, but it's 9 of them. And so this chart that I put together on communication styles is based on that. So here's what I'm saying. You might say, I relate most to the star, but I have artist and teacher. You might have all three. Most of us do. But what the Enneagram teaches us is that all of us have one of these that we lead with. That is the thing that we naturally do most of the time. And the others are things that support the main talent or the main style. So for example, you might relate to the star communication style. You might say, the way that I relate to life and the way that I seem to talk to people or to think about life, the way that I am is the star. I like to be the center of attention. But you might say, I really like to be a healer. And so you might be a number 1 star with a wing, as they call it in the Enneagram, artist. And then your second wing, meaning your second supportive trait, might be the teacher. And so a star with an artist wing would be this kind of person. They love to be the center of attention. They easily draw tons of people, but they do that not for their own sake or for the sake of look at me, because that artist temperament, that makes them into a healer artist. So they will get up on a stage and wow a ton of people. But at the end of the day, what they really want to do is to bring healing and beauty to others, not to be the entertainer themselves. Now, let's go on to the next one. You might have a temperament of you lead with the artist gift. You might be a natural 2. But then your wing could be star. So your wing, your first wing, or the first supportive trait of your number 2 is number 1, star. So here's what I mean. You might be an artist. So in other words, you're a healing type of person. You are someone who has a rich inner life. But because you have a star supports you. That's what also makes you who you are. You don't mind being in front of people. You don't mind being the center of attention, but only if it leads back to your message of healing and of helping other people. So by the way, as I'm here on this live call, if you have any input or any thoughts or questions about some of these things or just some reflections, give me a kind of a thumbs up or a like on this video stream here on Facebook, and just tell me which one do you think you are. Are you a 1? Are you a 2? Are you a 3? Or you might say, I think I'm all 3, but do it this way. Put it in the order that you think that works for you. You might be a 2-3-1, or you might be a 1-3-2. So write that in the comments below so that we can get some interaction going. Let me know what you think you are as you understand more about kind of what I'm talking about. So number 2, that person is one who their real desire is to help other people, is to be a healer, is to be a giver, not a taker. But their first wing is a star and their second wing is a teacher. So in other words, they also, at some point, they want to pass on how they do it themselves. Okay, let's go on to number 3. So number 3, maybe you are a 3-1. What does that mean? That means that you're a natural teacher. You don't really want the center of attention. You don't want to be the center of attention. You really don't want to be a healer per se, and help the world. What you really are after is to teach everything you know, to share everything you learn. That is just who you are. Now, you might be in the actual education system. You might be an actual teacher or an administrator. You might be in the speaking or in the religious world where you're teaching a Sunday school class, or maybe you're the pastor or the children's director. So you might be a natural teacher, but your wing might be a star. So in the way that you teach, what comes out and what people notice is how you like to be in front of others. You like to entertain, so you're one of those cool teachers. So the 3-1-2s are the cool teachers. Those math teachers that you had, most of them were boring, but you had that one, maybe high school teacher, maybe even a college professor who just made things fun. They probably were a 3-1-2, or maybe they were a 1-3. So that's a little bit of the combination of how these things work. So what I wanted to know is to ask you, my dear friend, what do you relate to? Which of these 3 styles of communication do you relate to? Now, as we go back, let me go back to my main shot here. So as we go back to talking about these 3 styles, hello, I'm back. The reason why this is important to talk about is because in business, in the nonprofit world, or in the education or the faith community world, knowing your communication style is going to be a huge, huge help to you. Here's how. Let's say you are a 2-1-3. Let's go back to this chart here, see if we can bring us back up. So let's say you are a 2-1-3. You're an artist star. Okay, let's just stick with the first 2. You are an artist star. Okay, so the artist that has a 1 wing, in other words, they are an artist and healer, but they have that star wing to them. If you are this type of person, that means that you like to be the center of attention, that you like, I guess this is a 1-2 is what I meant to say. Star/artist. So 1-2 is what I meant to say. So if you are a star with an artistic bent, that means that you are a natural ham. You like to be in front of people. So when you are deciding about, let's say you're deciding on what kind of retreat to put on for your staff, let's say you're a director type. So if you know that you're a star, don't be afraid to be the center of attention at your retreat. Because what happens when you are flowing in your communication style is that everyone benefits. So when you plan a retreat, or let's say you're going to have a staff outing or even just a lunch with your team, with your staff members, with your family even. If you are a 1-2 or just simply a 1, a star, then give yourself the freedom to be the ham of the party. So instead of saying, well, I need to have other people be in front, because I want to be that humble servant leader, which we all, of course, want to be. But if you're naturally a 1, you're going to make that room shine and really pop. So that's why it's so important to know what your communication style is because then you stop shying away from those things that you think make a good or a bad leader. In our culture, we sometimes, when you're in a place of leadership or you're a place of influencing others, we often are given only 1 or 2 models of how to do that. Mostly, you have to be either the teacher or you have to be the artist. And I would say most of the time, we're only presented with the teaching model. You're supposed to know a lot and pass that information. But if you are a 1 temperament and you truly are a 1, but you're in a teaching environment, that means that what's going to make you the most effective is if you draw attention to yourself, to your personality, if you let your personality come out. Now, let's go on to the second temperament, which is the artistic temperament. So how does this work? Okay, so it's if you are a number 2, if you are a artist, and if you again are in a place of leadership at home, in business, in the education system, or in politics, any of those things. If you are an artistic temperament, and yet you're often being asked to be the star of the show, you're going to die. And that's probably another thing that happens because you are the boss or because you're the person in charge. Everyone expects you to entertain, to be the ham, to do maybe what the previous guy did. And he was so entertaining and so funny and told jokes, but you are not naturally a number 1. You're more of an artist. You're more of a healer. So what you may want to do when you're in front of people, if you're more of a 2 of an artist, you might want to start with something personal. So instead of starting with a joke and an icebreaker and having some sort of game, which for you, if you're an artist, you're going to just die at just the thought of, instead, start with a poem that you wrote or that you read. Start with your heart. Start by talking about your feelings. Start by talking about the depth of your knowledge. It could be that you read someone's autobiography that really touched your heart and might benefit everyone else. It might be that you have a song that you've been listening to all week. Don't be afraid to bring out that song and to let everyone hear it and then explain that song. If you're maybe an educator, you're in the education system or in the faith community organization, if you are a 2, an artist, during your talk or during your Sunday school class or maybe during a city council meeting, don't be afraid to talk about how you saw a beautiful sunrise on the way to work. Now, you say, well, that doesn't fit, but here it is. What the audience wants is you to be on fire, to be passionate, and to be completely excited about what you're talking about. And so how do you tap into that excitement? Is through these 3 communication styles. So if you are an artist, the worst thing you can do is to try to be a star or a teacher. Lead with your artistic temperament, with the beauty and the things that you notice in life that touch your heart, and then share them with others. And then number 3, if you are a teacher and you are in a high profile environment, or maybe you're in a high administrative environment, and really at the end of the day, you would like to pass on information, then shape your talk or shape maybe you're writing a blog or you're meeting with someone one-on-one, shape it around teaching versus entertaining that person or trying to be all woo-woo and all, feeler, touchy-feely. You might be in an environment where you're expected to be very quiet. Maybe you're a therapist and you have to be very empathetic. You have to be a good listener, obviously. You might be at home and you might be a mom and you're hanging out with your child and you feel like you need to be very motherly. Maybe that might mean quiet or something. But really, inside of you, you're a teacher. You like to help your children learn new skills. Lead with that. Because again, what your audience wants or what your child wants is for you to be on fire, to come alive. And if you are teaching others what you know, then you will be fully alive and they will reap the benefits. So I hope that these 3 communication styles have given you some handles on who you are and what you prefer. So now let me give you a personal example. So for me, like you, I have all 3 in me. We all do. We all have a little bit of artist, a little bit of star, a little bit of teacher. But as I've looked at my life and as I've heard what people say all the time about what they appreciate most about me, I've realized that at the end of the day, I'm a teacher. That I love to mentor other people. Hello, the behind the scenes camera. That what I love most at the end of the day is to really pass on information to you. So you look at what I'm doing here in this show. Some shows, you watch some people and they're just so entertaining. I'm not entertaining per se. I have those moments when I do. But at the end of the day, what makes me come alive is teaching you 3 ways to do this and 5 steps to that. Because that's the teacher in me. I'm always learning for the purpose of passing it on. Like my friend says, teach everything you know, share everything you learn. That is my motto. Now, my wing is artist. That is my first wing. And so that healer or that empath in me is also very strong. So the way that I like to teach is I teach through heart. I teach through practical steps, but then second, through stories that touch the heart or through music that touches the heart and brings healing to people. And then lastly is star. So there are those moments when I like to go crazy and I like to do fun things, but for the most part, that's not me. For the most part, I'm a 3-2 in this particular leadership or communication style circle. So for you, you might want to do the same thing. What do you consider yourself? What is it that you relate to the most? Which of these 3 communication styles serve you the most? So as I go here on this beautiful day, my dear friend, I'm going to put some wrap-up music here on this beautiful Friday. I want to just have you think about these things because they really matter. The reason why it's important to know this is because at the end of the day, you want to be on fire. You want to influence other people. You want for them to catch your vision, to catch your heart. And if you know which of these is really you, you will then be able to more efficiently and more consistently get your message out to others. My desire for you today, my blessing and my prayer for you is that you would know that you are beautifully made and that no matter what your style is, that you can be you and who God made you to be. My desire is that you would know that without a doubt, you are special and that you can do anything you want as long as you desire to do it for the right reasons. So thank you again, everybody. As I wrap up, I just want to tell you about, again, a little bit of who I am, to make sure that you go to my Instagram page, to go to my web page, and simply just to always stay connected here to this beautiful program called the davidTrig Show. I deliver it on the weekend, called the Weekend Program of Joy. A weekend program of joy. Again, thank you so much for being here. My name is davidTrig. You can check out my website, my Instagram. And at the end of the day, what I want to remind you is to stop living on Failure Street and start living on GOZO Street. To get off of that place of pain and to start living La Vida Gozo. Because though there is pain in the night, GOZO comes in the morning. GOZO, by the way, means joy. So have a great rest of this day. Have a great rest of this week. Make sure that you check out my podcast that comes out every day. And I will see you next time. Adios. Let's dance.